Hello audience, how are you? I hope you all are well. Welcome back to another video by Ghostly Gloom. Before we begin, I kindly request you to subscribe to Ghostly Gloom and hit the bell icon to receive more videos from us. After watching the video, please take a moment to like it and comment on how you felt while watching. Now, let's dive into the story.
In a quiet, desolate corner of a small, forgotten town stood the decaying remains of what was once known as the Crowhaven Asylum. It was a building shrouded in darkness and steeped in chilling legends. This ominous structure had been abandoned for decades, but its horrifying past still haunted the memories of those who dared to remember. Crowhaven Asylum was established in the late 1800s as a sanctuary for the mentally ill. It started with good intentions, but as the years passed, the asylum became a place of unspeakable horrors. Patients were subjected to inhumane treatments, and the asylum staff was notorious for their cruelty. One particularly chilling tale revolved around a patient named Sarah. Sarah had been committed to Crowhaven at a young age, her family unable to cope with her violent outbursts. As the story goes, she was locked away in a cell deep within the asylum's bowels, where the most disturbed patients were held. The legend told of Sarah's cries echoing through the corridors at night, her pleas for release reaching the ears of any who dared to venture near. Some claim to have heard her whispering their names in the darkness, beckoning them to set her free. Over time, rumors spread about strange occurrences in the town surrounding the asylum. Residents reported shadowy figures lurking in the windows, eerie lights flickering from the upper floors, and blood-curdling screams that pierced the night. Many believed that the souls of the tormented patients still roamed the abandoned halls, seeking retribution. One fateful night, a group of curious teenagers decided to explore the forsaken asylum. Armed with flashlights, they ventured into the decaying structure. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the floors creaked with every step. As they descended deeper into the asylum's heart, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Suddenly, one of the flashlights flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Panic set in as they fumbled to replace the batteries. In that darkness, they heard a faint, mournful sobbing. It was the sound of Sarah's desperate cries, echoing from the depths of the asylum. Terrified, they continued their descent, determined to find the source of the cries and put an end to this sinister legend. As they moved deeper, they stumbled upon a locked door with a heavy chain wrapped around it. The door bore the name, Sarah, in faded letters. With trembling hands, they broke the chain and slowly opened the door. Inside, they found a small, decrepit cell with tattered remains of restraints. The air was frigid, and their breath formed visible clouds. The sobbing grew louder, and they saw a figure huddled in the corner. It was Sarah. Her hair was long and matted, and her eyes were wild with a madness that sent shivers down their spines. She reached out a skeletal hand, her fingers ending in ragged, broken nails. In a voice that seemed to come from the depths of hell, she whispered, "Free me." Terrified and unable to comprehend the horror before them, the teenagers stumbled backward and fled the asylum. As they emerged into the moonlight, they heard the cell door slam shut behind them with a deafening finality. The legends were true. Sarah's tormented spirit still dwelled within the forsaken walls of Crowhaven Asylum, and she would never be free. To this day, the asylum stands as a chilling reminder of the horrors that took place within its walls. Those who dare to approach it at night report hearing the desperate cries of Sarah and witnessing ghostly apparitions in the windows. Crowhaven Asylum remains a place of darkness and dread, testament to the terrors of its past that refuse to be forgotten. Deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, hidden amidst a dense forest, lay the remnants of a long-forgotten structure known as the Blackwood Lodge. It was a place steeped in darkness, shrouded in mystery, and haunted by a chilling history that refused to fade away. The lodge had been a grand retreat in the early 1900s, a haven for the wealthy and elite who sought refuge from the chaos of the world. Nestled beside a pristine lake, its towering spires and ornate architecture had once exuded opulence. But that was before tragedy struck. In the winter of 1923, a fierce blizzard swept through the mountains, isolating the lodge from the outside world. As the snowdrifts grew higher, the guests and staff found themselves trapped, their supplies dwindling. Fear and desperation took hold. One by one, the guests succumbed to the bitter cold and hunger. Some perished in their sleep, while others resorted to unspeakable acts to survive. By the time rescue arrived, the lodge was a tomb, its walls stained with the blood of those who had fought to stay alive. The lodge was abandoned after that fateful winter, left to decay in solitude. It became a place of legends, its name whispered around campfires as a warning to those who dared venture into the wilderness. In the decades that followed, hikers, thrill-seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts attempted to explore the lodge, drawn by the tales of its tragic past. Many reported strange occurrences, from eerie voices in the wind to fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures. One chilling account told of a group of friends who decided to spend a night at the lodge. Armed with cameras and flashlights, they ventured inside, determined to capture evidence of the supernatural. As night fell, the temperature dropped and an unnatural stillness settled over the lodge. They began to hear faint, mournful cries echoing through the halls, as if the voices of the lodge's ill-fated guests were trapped in a never-ending torment. Fear gnawed at their hearts, but they pressed on, convinced that something otherworldly awaited them. The group split up to explore different parts of the lodge. One by one, they encountered inexplicable phenomena. Doors slammed shut on their own, icy drafts seemed to materialize from nowhere, and the air grew heavy with dread. It was as if the very essence of the lodge was alive and malevolent. In the darkest hours of the night, they regrouped in the lodge's grand dining hall. The temperature had plummeted to near freezing, and their breath formed clouds in the frigid air. It was then that they heard it, the sound of footsteps echoing from the floor above. Trembling, they crept up the staircase, their flashlights illuminating the path ahead. As they reached the top, they found themselves in a corridor lined with portraits of the lodge's former guests, their faces frozen in anguish. Suddenly, one of the friends let out a blood-curdling scream. Her flashlight beam had fallen on a figure standing at the end of the hallway. It was a gaunt, pale figure dressed in tattered clothing, its eyes hollow and vacant. Paralyzed by fear, they watched as the figure slowly raised a skeletal hand and pointed towards a nearby window. The glass shattered with a deafening crash, and a bone-chilling gust of wind swept through the corridor, extinguishing their flashlights. Terrified and disoriented, they stumbled back down the stairs and fled the lodge. They ran through the forest, their hearts pounding, until they reached their car. Only then did they dare to look back. In the moonlight, they saw the lodge's windows glowing with an otherworldly light, and the mournful cries of the lodge's ghostly guests echoed through the night. To this day, the Blackwood Lodge remains a place of dread and despair, a testament to the horrors that unfolded within its walls. Those who dare to approach it do so at their own peril, for the lodge is a place where the past lingers, and the spirits of the doomed still seek release from their eternal torment.